Resuming. Weird World Order broadcast. Dynaphones connected. Initiating broadcast signal in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, this is the Nerd World Order broadcast. I am the man that you call Dukes, and to my right, it's all about the...
Booyah! What's up? It's your boy Joe, baby.
And to my other right wing, and at 178 adamantium filled pounds, coming straight out of Krakoa, Alfonso X-Man Flores.
Oh my stars and garters.
Looks like the Stars and Garters reference is back, and that means that we are back for another exciting episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. Today, if you hear an echo in your speaker, that means that there's not an audio problem. We are going to be discussing Marvel Cinematic Universe Spotlight, 5 episodes of Echo on Disney Plus. This was something that went through a few changes as far as production, ties into a lot of other shows, whether it be the Hawkeye series or whether it be the Daredevil series. This is going to be pretty interesting, and I'm really excited to see what the gentlemen have to talk about today because we have not discussed it yet. So I will start off with Alfonso X-Man Flores. What were your expectations going into the Echo series?
Well, I mean, I very much enjoyed Daredevil, right? And in the comics, she got her start with Daredevil. And in the MCU, she got her start with Hawkeye. And I enjoyed that series a lot too. Yeah, it kind of let us down towards the end. But she was a pretty welcome character. You know, she was pretty buff. You know, she kicked some butt. And I thought it was going to be a lot of the same thing. Now I got really worried at the beginning because, you know, it's like, well, they pulled it back. They did a bunch of reshoots. Then it went from 8 episodes down to 5 or down to 6 and then down to 5. And so whatever they did, they had to do some, Marvel magic with editing. And I was excited to see it still. I figured, they were going to pull it out and, make everything come together at the end. And I was pretty happy with it.
I wasn't expecting much going into this just because I was thinking today, Marvel, for whatever reason, has gone straight to the D list as far as putting out product. And I really feel like Echo is D list. And I'm just curious as to why they chose Echo. To me, it feels like there is an indigenous character, let's say, campaign that they're making right now. They're really trying to highlight the indigenous characters to the point of making one up. And I feel like that's what they were doing with Echo. I wasn't too excited about it, but I figured, you know what, 5 episodes, around 45 minutes each. Even I have the attention span to sit through that, so I checked it out. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked after I saw the first episode. First episode was good, and then it got really slow. And I feel like Marvel doesn't have time to release stuff that's slow because the first fight scene with her and Daredevil was pretty smooth, dude. I liked it. The flashbacks were pretty cool, with Hawkeye, back when Hawkeye was good before, I think, 4, 5, and 6. I think when the car scene, I think was episode 4, right? Yeah, I think it was 5, 6. Well, I digress. But if I think the reason why, to your question that you asked, why Echo, I think it's just set off like the street kind of heroes, like they did in Netflix. I think that's the setup for that. But it is a few questions. Is it too late for that? And you could tell they rushed it because they ran out of money. They only have 5 episodes. And lastly, do you think the Echo got hurt by releasing everything at one time? Because I think if you would have released the episode 1, everybody would have been talking about that fight scene between her and Daredevil, and it would have built up momentum for the next few episodes, I think.
So, what did you anticipate before you watched the show?
Just like you guys said, I wasn't expecting much. So for me, the 5 episodes was pretty cool because I could just with 40 minutes, I can breeze through it fast and not have to wait for it. Um, I knew Daredevil was going to be there. I knew Kingpin was going to be in it, but with Marvel, I'm kind of besides What If season two, like I'm not big on anything that they're putting out. So for me, I wasn't really looking forward to it. It's just another TV show. If I'm doing nothing, oh, I guess I'll watch that and binge watch it. Like Ted's Out, the TV series, and I watched the first few episodes of that. It's kind of funny. So I find those episodes a little more entertaining than Echo.
Okay. So you threw out some questions. Let's cover them. What questions did you have?
Do you let's start with this one. Do you think it hurt Marvel releasing all five at one time as opposed to episode weekly? And they're like on a Tuesday.
I don't, because both Rotten Tomatoes and Rotten Tomatoes, both the fan critic or score and also the critic score were both pretty low.
Hmm.
And I feel like people who were gonna watch it, like it's almost like first episode's good, and then as it gets slower, I think word of mouth would have had people starting to badmouth it. But I feel
Hmm.
like since they put out all of them at once, it got slow, but there was a payoff at the end, so people would still recommend it because they enjoyed the payoff.
Kind of almost wonder like you could tell Marvel didn't really care too much for the series. Oh, here's all five.
I feel like Marvel's gonna constantly mix stuff up to figure out what works. I feel like the indication that they may not have liked it came from all the edits that they did. I
Hmm.
feel like
For sure.
Marvel's treading water right now, and they're just
Mhm.
like everything they put out, they're trying to rework. Like Captain
Yeah.
America, New World Order, that's a complete rework right now.
Mhm. Like I know there were two different tribes, but like I think I told you, I thought I was watching Avatar at first because I never seen the second one. So I was like, bro, is
Okay.
this Avatar? I'm pretty sure I didn't click on it, because it has like, the Echo and then it has like, I think Avatar. And then I paused it. I'm like, this is Echo. And then I was like, is this What If? Because I felt like we were pushing that to your point, the narrative and the what if, but they're two different tribes. So I'm like, that's not it. But then at the end, I was thinking, well, they're glowing because now they have powers. You know what I mean? Like they're glowing with the same glow, as I can't remember the other tribe, what they were called.
The Mohawks.
The Mohawks, yeah. It felt like it was kind of like the same thing. So I thought maybe they would bring her in and at the end, maybe I don't know. Like I was kind of confused with that. And then, like I thought because you didn't even know like what happened. Like all of a sudden, and I could defer this to Alf. Do you think they made her a mutant? Do you think like because they didn't really explain whether they're aliens or they're mutants? It's just they were in a cave. All of a sudden, they got powers. You know what I mean? Like they can heal, so it's passed on. So like, what is that? And like, is it a good thing or a bad thing that they didn't explain who they are?
Yeah. With that, I mean, it really kind of goes with a lot of native stories of creation. There were people of the earth, and they were the first people, and the way they came through the earth. I have a cousin who's like really big into our Native American heritage, and he's like, man, I could sit there and listen to him for hours. He tells the story of everything, and it's really cool, and it's very spiritual. So when I got to see that on film, I was like, well, that's kind of really cool. It goes along with that story of the first people, right? And then all of a sudden, when they were playing that game they were playing, that was a lot like it was a lot like what do you call it? The one with the basket. Oh my gosh, what is it? I wrote it down here. Lacrosse. So they had both a lacrosse and a field hockey stick. I always know that the Native Americans were the ones who created lacrosse, but I was like, is this the same person? Because I thought it was at first, and I didn't realize that they were just showing you generations of people and the way this family moved on. So it was kind of cool to see she basically in the end she picked up different attributes from different people, from all of her generations, because that's the way it's told, is that your generations are behind you and they're there for you, and they're there to lift you up. So she borrowed a little bit from every single one of them and their stories and their strengths and their tragedies. So my gosh, what was the question again?
Is she a mutant?
Is she a mutant?
What's the source of her power?
I mean, the source of her power is it was something that was in her family, since the beginning. Is she a mutant? I mean, I guess essentially yes, because she comes from a long line of mutants. Like, Apocalypse was considered the first mutant, but he's been around forever. So, I wasn't really thinking so, but the more I talked about it right now, I'm thinking maybe she is. Maybe she is. And I think, they're really building up to this whole mutant thing, because, you've got Miss Marvel, all of a sudden she's a mutant, right? So, they're going to focus on this. Once the X-Men are released, that's going to be the main focus. I doubt they're probably going to steer away from the Avengers, maybe touch base with them once in a while, but I think the way they're going is they're going to focus on mutants, which is a great story to tell, because, you're dealing with a world that fears and hates you, and you're trying to be accepted. You're trying to help, and you're trying to save them, from themselves and others. So I could see how Marvel is pushing the mutant agenda, and I'm down for that.
Okay. I don't feel like she's a mutant, because I felt like the way that she acquired her powers was very much the way that the powers were acquired in the Mohawk Nation, where they acquired some source of power that was part of the earth. To me, it felt very Wakanda Black Panther-esque,
right?
Where they're not necessarily mutants, but also it's also very well, I guess Namor is a mutant, but he's not a mutant because he's from Atlantis, even though all the Atlanteans have powers. Get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
they have the same power set as the Atlanteans, which could be similar to the power set that the people of Wakanda should have,
Right.
if they were consuming the herb as a collective. Like, why does only one person get to eat the fruit if the meteorite that hit Wakanda infuses with everything? So I feel like if the Atlanteans are mutants, which they're not, then she would be a mutant. But because the Atlanteans aren't mutants and their power source is similar, she's not a mutant.
But and they're not Atlanteans anymore. I guess that was taken away by DC. So but yeah, no, I see what you mean, because it's like this source of power from this meteorite, but it's like, is that the same kind of power? Because that came from the underground. Like in the What If series, that was clearly whatever the stone was that gave Captain Marvel her power. It was the same stone, right? The Mohawk Nation, they got all their power from that. So this one here, at first I was thinking it was the same one, but it seemed like more that was from the earth. So to me, honestly, this is more spiritual, mystical than mutant. That's what I was focused on at first, but as like I talked through it, I'm like, maybe it is a little mutant, because you're born with it, so it's considered a mutation. Even though, like, if you get bit by a radioactive spider, that is a mutation. You're mutating, but you're not considered a mutant. In the Marvel universe, you have to be born with the power to be a mutant. So the next step in evolution.
You know what it is, dude? I figured it out. It's the end of Star Wars Episode 9 with Rey. We believe in you. All power surges through you. The Force is with you. You know what I mean? That's what it's like. And then not to mention, like, they're running out of ideas, man. Because if you look at the end of She-Hulk, what they do at the end of She-Hulk? What were they doing?
You'll have to enlighten us.
They pulled up the Kevin Feige robot.
Remember they were eating? And then here comes Hulk at the credit scene with his son, Scar.
Oh, yeah.
How did this one end? Oh, let's have another dinner at the outside. And here comes Echo. Hey. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like they're running out of ideas, man. Like, they just can't think of anything new. And then, And then, Echo from the comics, her power is Echo because she mirrors people she's fighting. That's her strength and her power.
Yeah.
And I feel that, with this healing and all that stuff they changed her powers. And her power set was actually pretty cool the way it was,
Mhm.
and they said it too. And I was hearing they changed it because it was too much like Master.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Taskmaster was so whack in that movie, no one remember anyway. So it'd be okay to just, make her have her own powers.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. But with this one.
Well, they're bringing Taskmaster back for Thunderbolts.
Mhm.
Didn't that get trashed though?
I think it's back again.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it's back.
But
Yeah.
but what's his name's out of Century though.
Steven Yeun's out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
should be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should be,
man.
but we know it won't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be.
Yeah.
Because I saw like I think it was like a guy that was on Screen Rants
Uh-huh.
like video, and he was saying her power. He was disappointed with her powers because they changed it,
Yeah.
and he was like, the way she mimics and the way she fights. It would be cool if they did like the Sherlock Holmes movie where Robert Downey Jr. was talking in his mind,
Right.
counter and everything. If Echo would do that in her mind as she's like mimicking someone, would be pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, the power that she has in the comics is a great power. Yeah, it's like Taskmaster, but you know what? They dropped the ball with Taskmaster. So even if they bring her back, it's not quite the same. It's like somebody who's augmented it. Did they really show that in that Black Widow movie? Was Taskmaster copying people's fighting styles?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was watching videos, remember?
Oh, that's right. Game day.
Yeah. But I feel like every superhero is just the same as somebody else. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's true. There's only so many power sets. It's just all about how you use them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still so many more power sets to use. I mean, there's just Marvel at this point. I feel like they're trying to get away from changing stuff up as much
Mhm.
as they did. At least I
Mhm.
hope so. Because you guys are right. Echo has a really cool power set.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if someone does a bad job on something, like
Mhm.
everyone collectively agrees Taskmaster sucked,
Mhm.
this could have been an opportunity for them to say, oh, but here's how the power is if it's used in a cool way.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
But they just dumped that completely.
Right.
And
Like,
yeah, go
when you
ahead.
think about Alokwa, like he was good as Maya, you know what I mean? Like I'm okay with like remember we always talk about this. When they create a woman character or a woman portrays a dope character that kicks ass, we're all for that.
Mhm.
Just don't push
Right.
the agenda. And I felt
Yeah.
like every generation there was like a woman that was like, hey, you know what I mean? Again, that's Disney
Mhm.
pushing the agenda of like women are just as strong as guys. We're like, if you see Maya fight, if she held her own against Daredevil, no one's ever going to be like, how is she able to do that? Because she's dope. It's believable. You
Mhm.
didn't have to create a persona of like, let me just create this woman. She's better than, like she should be as we already know she's just as good. And the same thing, like I don't know if you heard about the stuff that's going on with Deadpool 3. They're trying to push that agenda on Ryan Reynolds, and he's like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. Because they wanted to bring in She-Hulk and push that whole agenda. And he's like, no, dude, you guys had your opportunity with She-Hulk, didn't do too well. Don't try to ruin my movie. And I feel like that's what they're trying to do with him.
I feel like She-Hulk does fit in very well though with the Deadpool.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
Yeah, it fits in perfectly. And
Totally.
with
From the comics.
Yeah.
But when Disney's doing it's totally different.
no, but she did that in the TV show. So it's a perfect match. I don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
But it fits. I feel like it would fit very well. And I feel like Ryan Reynolds has the vision of what he wants done.
Mm-hmm.
So don't go around messing with it,
Right.
It's funny. I enjoyed Echo, but man, they show her go toe to toe with Daredevil like on her first outing. Yeah, she was stumbling a little bit, but she was starting to get her groove. She's picking up, and she was doing fine. She held her own against Daredevil. Next thing you know, she's being attacked by 3 tweakers and locked up in a back room. Come on. It's like, really, really, because I mean, I really dug the show. I did, but it's like, come on. It's like, and if they did that, yeah, sure. She did that because she wanted to be there. You know what I mean? But they didn't make it seem like that.
Yeah, you're right. I did have trouble with that as well because I felt like I was waiting for the, "Oh man, she's about to start kicking butt," and it never really happened. Like, she would always end up getting her butt kicked, which reduces the credibility of Daredevil.
Right.
As great as that fight scene was, how was she going toe to toe with someone with augmented abilities? It didn't make any sense.
I can play devil advocate. I
You're
think
Daredevil's
at that
advocate.
time that she had just lost her father, so she has a lot of aggression, angry, pissed off, and just want to mess people up. To where this part, where it's towards the end, she's kind of confused and she doesn't know where she's going. Those dreams are manipulating what she's thinking was reality and what's real. Issues with their grandmother disowning her. She's not talking to her best friend, which is her cousin, which I thought was like kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, you're gonna talk to everybody in town, but not her? That just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? So it's just stuff like that. But I think mentally, she probably wasn't there, or they just did a really bad job at portraying that she to do that. To your point, Alf,
Well, I mean,
it just everything's just rushed.
at that level of martial arts prowess, if when you're at that level, anger and being pissed off and all that, that doesn't do anything for you. That takes away from you. Because if you're fighting somebody on an equal battlefield and you're losing your cool, you're lost. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I can understand how they were trying to portray it like that, but I mean, that's not something you want to do. You got to be calm, collected. You got to control the distance. You handle the fight, right? Yeah.
I used to
Yeah.
play basketball, bro.
Yeah.
And when I'd be off,
Yeah.
someone starts talking crap to me. Then I get back in the zone and I'm smashing on them.
Right.
And
But
next
that's you being calm and collected because they're talking.
no, because I'm talking a lot of crap.
Oh.
Now I'm like in his face talking crap while I beat him, and when he's sitting on the side, I'm still talking crap to him. That's what I mean with emotion. Like, you need someone get you going. You know what I mean? And I think that's the instrument was her father. And then when it was taken away from her, I don't think she was the same as far as when she fought Daredevil.
And I think they were probably, like, oh, well, she didn't have her really good legs, so she really couldn't handle as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing too, it's like, I think one thing that did this show a real big disservice is the fact that she can't read lips. In the comics, she can read lips, you
Yep.
know, and it's like, why take that away from her? There's no sense in taking that away from her.
Mm-hmm.
The majority, I mean, I would assume like the deaf people that I've known, that I've dealt with, like they can read lips. And,
Mm-hmm.
so there's still some kind of communication you can do, right? If that's all you got, you're going to work with what you got. She's like this point where like, I'm doing sign language and I don't care if you guys don't know it, it's not your problem. And then you got this whole reservation back here who she was there till she was 5 that learned sign language to work with her, but probably didn't practice the entire time she was gone for 10 years. And then they still know it like it's no problem. That's something you got to
Yeah.
practice. I lost my
Right.
Spanish from when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like even the fight scene at the end, dude. Like if we're gonna to go back on the fight scene, you beat Kingpin by like doing that. Like, let me go through your mind. I'm like, what are you, Psylocke? What are you, Jean Grey? You know what I mean? Are you like Emma Frost? Like you're Professor X? No, you're not. I wanted like a dope fight scene. I
Yeah.
figured like at least give us that. Like you can't do like it was like the Hawkeye. That scene with the car with the 360 was so dope.
So good.
And then after that, you're just like, wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. And she healed him, right? That's what she did.
Well, she tried to heal him and rejected it. That's why he still has that scar. Like she was
Okay.
trying to heal that and heal inside, but he just said, that's why he said, what are you doing?
Because like
You know?
the next time you see him, he's not gonna be walking around like Nick Fury. He's gonna be seeing.
No.
So
Yeah. But like even in the comics, like, because I was like, how the hell are her Daredevil speaking? But to your point, she reads lips,
right.
and they say she can still talk.
And Daredevil can see her hand movements.
Mhm.
And he could probably pick up interpreting that a lot faster than most people because
Yeah. Well, she still talked in comics from what I hear.
oh yeah, she talked. That's
So
right.
like that's how Daredevil was it. Because I was like, how did they communicate?
They-
Because they went out for a
oh
while.
yeah,
No.
it was the international language of love.
Hmm.
That's right.
Little brown
Yeah.
chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow.
So getting away from the brown chicken, brown cow, the more you guys talk, the more confused I become because you guys explain stuff and I'm like, is that what happened? By the way, ladies, gentlemen, and knights, if you haven't noticed, there will be spoilers galore. I forgot to give you a warning, but it'll be in the title of the show. So read the title of the show. Okay, so she tried to heal him, but she didn't. So, like, what was that for? Like, it didn't. Go ahead, Joe.
You remember when she had so much anger and she was hurt, she was so pissed off, and then she started talking to her mom, and her mom did the same healing thing, and
Mhm.
it made her forget everything, forgive, and move on.
Yeah.
And that's what she was trying to do to Kingpin, but Kingpin was like, "F that."
So all
And
that
that's
was
why,
pointless.
yes, and then that's why at the end he's like, "Dude, what did you do to me?" Like, because he was shocked that like you went inside his mind, and that's what I mean. What are you, Professor X, Jean Grey, Emma Frost? You went inside his mind to relive his memories that he had hidden, and he's known you since you were like what 5, and you have this power.
So he asked, "What did you do to me?" The
Mhm.
answer to which is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I get that, but what do you do to me is like, how did you go in my mind and make me think about a memory that I had hidden?
Nah.
Don't be mad at me. I didn't write it. I'm just telling you what the writers were doing.
Damn it,
You
Joe.
know what I mean? Does it make sense to me? No. Do I agree with it? No. Could it have been better? Yeah.
As you guys are talking about stuff, I'm just like, but that doesn't make any sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking for explanations, and you guys are explaining stuff, and I'm like, but I'm still confused.
Mhm.
I just,
Um,
I, I just gotta tell you. I mean, I give props to the editors because the show was probably like, yeah, probably pretty bad, and I think they salvaged it pretty well. They were able to pull out five episodes. And did you guys watch them all at once? Went back to back to back?
no, because I fell asleep at like 3.
Hmm.
So I rewatched 3, and then I watched 4, then I came back a day later and watched 5.
It
Yeah,
probably
I
took
think
me about 4 days.
I watched the first one and then I go, hey, I told Alan, I was like, hey, it's not that bad, dude. He
Yeah.
goes, it gets slow. I'm like, shit. So then I think I waited a couple of days. I went back and started watching Jujutsu Kaisen. So I
Ooh.
watched some more episodes. Because I stopped watching season 2 because I found out my favorite character dies.
Oh,
But then my
Spoilers.
son was like, Dad, this is why he didn't die. I'm not even going to go into detail, bro, because if you couldn't understand the Kingpin reasoning of what you do to me, there's no point in me explaining Jujutsu Kaisen. But his logic was sound. So when I watched them all, that's what he's talking about. So I started watching that, and then eventually I went back, finished Echo. And the only reason I finished Echo because you were like, "What are we recording on Tuesday?" Echo. I'm like, "Damn! Now I got to go back and rewatch this crap."
yeah. So Alfonso, you like the editing because I didn't much care for the whole supernatural element in it.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is, it's like it wasn't a great show, but it wasn't terrible. So clearly they saved it. You know, is it as bad as people were painting it to be? I don't think so. Um, is it super great? No, but it was a fun story. We know what was really cool for me too. I don't know if did you guys ever watch Reservation Dogs that Taika Waititi produced on Hulu?
No.
It's a fun show. It's a really fun show, but it's all native cast, right? Dude, there were so many people from Reservation Dogs in this show. I'm like, man, they're just using up all those native actors. It's cool, to see him back, in a different character. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it hit a little home to me. There's something I liked about it. I did like it. There's a lot of things that I could pick apart that weren't exactly great. But it wasn't terrible. I'd definitely watch it. You know, maybe I'd even watch it again. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I watched it.
If you took out Kingpin, would it be better or worse?
I'd say worse. I mean, the whole Kingpin, the building of the Kingpin, I think was the most important thing of this show because Kingpin's going to be there for Daredevil. He's going to be there for Spider-Man, and he should be. He's got to be that big boss at the top of the building. Who's always there pulling all the strings, and you're trying to get to him, but he always kind of gets away. I like that little cat and mouse game. They do it in Punisher, they do it in Daredevil. Kingpin, he can hire people. He can make you, all of a sudden, you think you're fighting them for this reason. And it's like, oh crap, it was Kingpin the whole time. Kind of like Chitauri. When the Chitauri came, it was Thanos the whole time. And then they're like, what? It was Thanos?
But doesn't Kingpin lose in like all the MCU stuff? Like so far, he's
Yeah.
lost in everything.
Everything. So when do you start to believe that he's actually a bad guy? Like, I mean, like a dope villain. To
Yeah,
your point, you don't think he's dope because, dude, Echo, he lost to Echo twice, Daredevil once. Was it once or twice? Daredevil, was it
Once. Twice?
was it maybe
I
it
know
was
he-
twice? But he keeps taking L's, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, bro. And then I'm tired of them using a series of like a character to
Mhm.
push the agenda of another character that does not have a series.
Yeah.
If I feel if you're trying to set up Daredevil, you're trying to set up Daredevil or Kingpin, which one is it? And if you're trying to set up Kingpin to set up the street thugs, why don't you do a series with the Kingpin? Because I feel like you didn't need an Echo series. Why don't you give Homeboy his own series of Kingpin? And it can show flashbacks of when the snap where he rose to power,
Right.
in the beginning, and then how he's getting his power back. And I think if you build him up that way, then we can get our villain because in that series, he's not going to lose. And so you can build him up and he becomes a believable villain. He takes too many L's, dude. You're like, bro, like you get defeated easily, bro. So it's like, what's the point in making you a big baddie of the street level superheroes if that's the case?
Yeah.
interesting. As you guys are saying that, I was like, what villain was the same way? And I'm like, oh, it's like Kang. Like Kang is supposed to be this huge,
Right.
big villain, and he gets defeated by a person who shrinks and who just beat him in hand-to-hand combat. Marvel really doesn't know what to do with their villains, which is why, complete tangent, the best villain they probably had since Thanos was the High Evolutionary, because James Gunn knows what to do with villains. He finds people who know how to play villains, and even if the villain loses, they're like super menacing,
Yeah.
So yeah, they really got to work on their villains.
I do like the idea of them having this whole street level thing, and it'd be great, yeah, for Kingpin to be on top of all that. You're right. He's gonna have to start pulling some W's, or at least like even if he's pulling the strings in this operation here, the hero wins, but then in order to win, he has to lose something, and that's because it was the Kingpin's fault, and he's up there in his tower going, that's what we need. So he doesn't even. I mean, he doesn't really have to show up in the other shows other than do that. He doesn't have to be the main villain. He just, you got to see that he's orchestrating things, and then that something happens, even though because the heroes got to win in their show, but they have to take a little bit of a loss, and that's where the Kingpin comes in. So then that builds him slowly but surely. I mean, I don't know if he's so much lost in this episode because Maya, touched him, healed his eye a little bit, whatever, tried to bring things forth in his head, got him to a point where he's like, you know what? I'm going to run for mayor. Like in Back to the Future. Remember, was it Goldie Wilson? Mayor Goldie Wilson. I like the sound of that.
Did he bring her back with him?
No.
Then he took an L. He wasted all his time in Oklahoma City and took an L.
But what did he really lose?
And then he had him. Well, he's on his knees. Like if you're portraying like a dope villain, he's on his knees, bro. And she's doing the Jean Grey to him. So it's like he's not at this point, dude. To me, he's not a strong character.
Yeah.
Like he's a dope ass actor, but I think he hasn't instilled anything in me like he's that threatening. You know what I mean? When Echo can beat him, Daredevil can beat him, Luke Cage will beat him. Like every street hero in Marvel can beat him. Like he's not threatening to me. It's almost like believable that Loki's a villain now.
Yeah.
Like you can't convince me that he's a villain anymore.
No, he's not. Loki's not a villain. Yeah. But I mean, in the comics, they always lose too, and they still have a way to find them to be menacing.
Right. But the difference is you're trying to create this dude that's going to be the main villain running for mayor.
Yeah.
Because I think in that series as well, like any vigilante, you can't be a hero anymore. That was the whole point of that.
Mhm.
So any Daredevil, you got the Spider-Man, all of like the Defenders, they're vigilantes trying to, except for Doctor Strange, and well, Ghost Rider's a vigilante, but they're fighting on their own accord, and that was what he was doing as mayor as part of those things. So it's for me like he's a punk. Let me run for office. That way I can make laws because I can't beat you myself. So I'm going to use the law to try to beat you. Like he's not threatening, bro. They have too much stuff going on for me. Like, which is it? Is it you're going to recast Kang? Is it Doctor Doom? Are you going to do Young Avengers? You know what I mean? It's just too much going on for me right now. Like, pick a side. It's like, go with it. I feel like there's too much going on. Remember DC in the beginning? That's what they were doing. Separate movies, all doing their own thing. Then they try to come together. It just didn't make sense. And I think Marvel is that way with all the different TV series and movies. It doesn't make sense. And they're trying to like cram a bunch of different ideas that they want to do. Like, what do you want to do? Secret Wars? Or do you want to create like a Marvel Street thing? It's just, for me, it's just like too much going on. And I don't want to invest in that because I feel like I'm going to get let down. I'm already been let down. And it's like, why invest in something that it's the same repetitive stuff over and over again?
I believe the answer to all of your questions is no. I feel we do an excellent job, the three of us, and let's say the fandom community as a whole, of telling Kevin Feige what should happen. But that's never what happens. So a street level team is a great idea, but it's never going to happen because as we watch all these shows, we can clearly see there's no plan. It's like they did Hawkeye to have a Young Avengers show, even though that could be a great setup for, part of the street level team. And Daredevil, now they say that Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are all part of the continuity of the MCU. Great, there's your street level team. Oh, but wait a minute, Cottonmouth died and now he's Blade, who is also a street level character. How are they going to explain that? They're just going to ignore it? If Luke Cage comes back and they're just like, hey, you know who you look a lot like? There's no plan. There's absolutely no plan. Even the whole thing with Kang, it's like the villain for Secret Wars is not Kang. It's Doctor Doom and Reed Richards. So there's just no plan. There's absolutely no plan. They're just throwing stuff to the wall and hoping something sticks. And you know what? They're getting our money anyway. Why am I subscribed to Disney Plus? For Echo. That's it.
Well, to your point too, like they already own Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you still can't use them as Secret Wars. And like you have all this time to do that. It's like I feel you don't have to do another reboot with Fantastic Four. You don't. I think you can just create it and they're there already, dude.
Yeah.
And you can say through the snap, that's how it happened. You could say the multiverse made it happen. I feel like you don't have to do an origin story for that no more.
Yeah.
Same with Doctor Doom. Like I feel if they're already there, Fantastic Four Doom is there. It's already implied. Like I think everybody's past origin stories, unless it's new. Like we don't need to see it over again. Just move on. We've been waiting for. I mean, shoot, they haven't had a good Fantastic Four movie ever. And I don't even know if they're going to be able to ever.
Yeah.
But I think the start of it, you don't do no origin story, just pick up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they've already been doing it for that's one of the things that I loved about the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. There was no origin story. He was just already a villain, or not a villain, but a superhero
Yeah.
fighting crime. And I thought that was dope. Like we didn't have to sit through the whole thing all over again, dude.
Yeah.
And I swear, JJ James Gunn does that with Superman, bro. We don't need no origin story, bro. Just keep it moving, man.
Yeah.
I think that's his plan. Yeah,
I hope
you
that,
just
dude.
yeah, you gotta hit the ground running.
Yeah, bro.
You know, it's like Fantastic Four all of a sudden pops out. Hey, what's going on? We've been in the negative zone. What I miss?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh crap, Doctor Doom out too.
Yeah.
All right, we better go take care of him.
Yeah. I mean, look at Batman. Remember Batman, the new Batman when it came out? No, it was it year one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Already year one. He's already out the gate fighting. I love that, dude. That was like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
That's a good formula. Stop doing origins,
Yeah.
man. Just get right to it.
Right. Yeah, everything is known already. You know, nerddom's taken over enough that everybody knows. So yeah, they don't need to do origin stories. If anything, do the story and then just throw a little nod back. See the pearls rolling by. You know, Batman's mom dies, but that's about it. That's all you need. Just the pearls.
And then not only that, dude, like you're gonna make people Google, research it, and if it's good enough, people might go buy the comic or back issues just to see who this person really is.
Yeah.
Mhm. I mean, that's what I did for Echo because I was like, I never recall this power set. So I went and I did some research and I was like, oh, okay. So she got the Phoenix Force, but we can't use the Phoenix Force. But her power that allows her to control other people, which is basically she had telepathy. That's what it comes down to. She was able to control other people and get inside their minds. She had telepathy. But then she was also able to separate those cufflinks or those couplings on the on the plane, or excuse me, on the train. Train, silly. So it's like, what was her power? I know I'm everywhere and I apologize, but like my point is I went back and I did research and it still didn't make sense because they mess with it so much.
Yeah. I think what they really wanted to show is that she was borrowing from, you know, generations past where she needed. She needed super strength at one point. She got the super strength. She needed to heal at one point. She got to heal. She needed to be able to throw something accurately. She was able to throw something accurately. You know, that's basically all it was. You had the 4 generations there, right? You had the mud people. Yeah. You know, the first people. Then you had the stickball playing, you know, game. And then you had the girl who wanted to be she wanted to be like you know, the cowboy, you know, shooting and throwing things. And then you had her mom who could heal. So I think that's what the original story was she was going to learn to borrow from each of those, and that's her power set. Can she access them all at once? Probably not. She could probably only access them one at a time. But, you know, of course they had to lose a little bit of that because they didn't have time to explain all that and, you know, to go back and do reshoots to get it all back in there.
Okay, this isn't a question for either of you, but feel free to try to explain this to me. Which one of her ancestors had super strength? And which one of her ancestors had the ability to control other people telekinetically, where they were able to fight using her fighting skill?
It's probably left on the cutting room floor.
like the super strength that would have been useful.
Yeah, I forgot that she got him don't worry, you guys, here, try now. And they're like,
yeah, so suddenly they're able to fight. Like, did she give them the fighting spirit of her ancestors, which they didn't know how to tap into? Or was she able to telepathically give them her fighting ability? Or was she telepathically controlling their fighting?
yeah. To me, it seemed like she was at the wheel of what they were doing.
What?
Yeah, you know, like she was telepathically controlling what they were doing. Like grandma's like, I just hit these guys. What? All right.
So I think if you possess the knowledge of your ancestors before.
Mhm.
So anything that they've done, you can acquire it. So I think because she shared the power with her cousin and her grandma, they're able to tap into what the ancestors were able to do, and that's how they were able to do it. That's what I think.
Hey, I can't argue with that because I'm just confused.
Yeah.
I'm more
And-
confused now than when I watched the show because we're
Yeah.
talking about it.
All
I
I
just
know
think
is-
it was wasted because I wanted to see her and Kingpin fight.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he lost against Hawk Girl.
Hawk Girl. Oh, other Hawkeye.
Yeah. Do you remember when she beat him with the arrow and blew him up, and then that's when Echo came in after? Like he took an L from her too,
Wow.
and she's new. Like you know what I mean? She ain't got that much as far as knowledge and training to be. That's what I'm saying. He's just watered down, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I'm seriously waiting for one of you to like pull this show out of the trash heap because as we're talking about it, I'm just like I enjoyed the first episode, and I remember Joe telling me like, yeah, first episode was good, and I was like, well, might as well stop there.
Yeah,
well,
it
she
didn't get
she
better.
did get the wardrobe change. That wasn't even that great.
Oh,
Okay,
my
Where was her
gosh.
makeup?
Bro, didn't the wardrobe on the mannequin look better than on her?
Yeah,
Like when I saw, I was like, "Oh, that costume looks pretty dope." And then when she put it on, I was like, "That doesn't look dope."
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like where I'm like, "Man, that shirt looks sick." Then you go in the dressing room and be like, "Yeah, but not on me."
Yeah.
Been there.
And I don't think they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what was the point of the wardrobe change? Like, I don't know. Grandma was like, "Oh, yeah, the power of your ancestors is in this clothing." But no, it's th- there was no point to that,
Mhm.
to giving her that wardrobe change. When I say this stuff, you guys are supposed to say, "But no."
It was because of the woodpecker.
That stupid woodpecker. Like, didn't at some point Maya kill the woodpecker?
She
Yeah.
tried.
And then mom brought it back to life.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, they use this for communication." And then flash forward to the next episode, she looks up, "Oh, there's a woodpecker trying to communicate."
Over there doing Morse code. Beep-deep-deep-deep-deep-deep.
Bro, when they said that, I was just like, "Did you use your power to make this woodpecker communicate?" Because how do you train a woodpecker to do SOS? You know, with tapping on the beak, bro.
Dude, that was Hunger Games right there.
But I'm just like, bro, what? When they said that, I was like, wait, what? Really? Huh.
I'm pretty sure I like the show. You guys are kind of convincing me that maybe I did it.
Oh, man. Bro, like I
Man.
thought it was okay. And then I swear we do this every time. We start talking about something, even if we think it's okay. And then the more we talk about it, it raises more questions. And it just makes me think like, what was good about that other than the first episode?
It was our loving, positive attitude because we want it to work. We want Marvel to succeed.
Yeah.
And then they just don't.
Yeah, but even that first episode, once it's like I think we all collectively sat there at our houses and we were like, we're just going to accept the fact that she can go toe to toe with Daredevil.
Yep.
But once we talk about it, we're like, no. And
Well, because what was it, episode 4? When to your point where they had the 3 random juggies, it seemed like take them down. You know, that's when it loses its credibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
But
to be fair, they probably worked at the Waffle House, you know.
and bro, come on, dude. Your big girl was up in there, bro. And she was like, "You really think you're gonna take out Echo, bro?" Like, obviously, if your man's was like calling people to come down and they come with 10 people, you think your big ass is gonna stop her, bro? Like, why'd you even open the door, dude? You know what I mean? It's just like, and then why'd you even give her back the leg? Like, I don't get that. Like, here, let me just throw you the boot. I was just like, why? Like, you don't know that she has a knife in there, but why are you gonna give her back the boot, bro? What's she gonna
Yeah.
do on one leg? But you're gonna throw over the boot to where she can reach it and put it on and just walk away?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. Like, I feel like that was one of those editing things where there was a reason why she threw the boot. Like, it seemed like the boot was in another room. Like, the
Mhm.
leg
It
was in another room.
Yeah, it was. She picked it up.
It took, was okay, that was Echo using her
Her psychic ability. Yep.
telepathy. Yeah. She's like, bring me the boot, my X-Men.
The only smartest person in that room was the girlfriend. I'm out. They said she was running to the car. She was out. She knew what was up.
Yeah.
I should have did that on that last episode. Let me just run away. And it had, what? I didn't have any expectations, but the episode with Daredevil was good to see Daredevil again.
Oh yeah.
And it was done so well. I was like, man, wow, I wasn't expecting anything. Actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And then to your point, Duke's like the more you watch it, you're like, it's just slow, setting everything up, which I get.
Yeah.
Like, but what are you setting up, dude? You set up everything for her only to ruin it at the end with Kingpin, because your whole thing was to get to that Kingpin credit.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like, just to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We just ruined the show for ourselves.
Like, I don't have a leg to stand on here, so.
Either does that show.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think of something good to say about it. Like,
let me check my notes.
I thought it was okay. Alfonso, let me see my notes here. What didn't we criticize? Maybe I could talk about that.
The positive that I like about it was it focuses on the, did I say it right, Alfred? Choctaw
Choctaw
tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and and then you put natives to work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh,
like
definitely.
They use real natives. I think to see that through the whole TV series, you know what I mean. I thought that was dope, and I thought they did very well with that. I love that aspect of the show. You put natives to work. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. That was a really good plus there. Like I said, you had the cast from Reservation Dogs that just ended, and a lot of them showed up, but they are native actors, they are native workers. So it's good to see them have a home.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many projects that they can do. It's like, but they eventually got to start casting people as people, not necessarily it's like, well, we're casting you because you're native. We're casting you because you're a good actor, and just because you're native. We're casting you because this or that. They just got to start seeing people as people, you're right, not push agendas. You don't need to. It is surprising too, because I hadn't really thought about that, and it makes a lot of sense. It's like Marvel is giving a huge push to the native nations, and I'm like, it's kind of interesting. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that. It's like, what's going on here? Why are they like, trying to make amends for something, or it's weird. It just seems like it's all at once.
Yeah, we'll find out. Maybe they need some native investors or something, because
Oh, casino! They're getting casino money. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Probably going to be like the Disney casino soon.
They better give me a job.
Bring me along.
Yeah,
yeah. It's interesting because you guys are like, oh, it's great. Native American are getting jobs, but apparently it's the same 20 Native Americans in Hollywood getting all the jobs. It's like, are there only 20 Native American actors and actresses in Hollywood?
There was some other ones, come on, but there was a lot of them from Reservation Dogs.
Yeah, it's like they have, like, there's the actors union, and then there's a Native American Screen Actors Union, and they're like, there's 20 of us.
Yeah,
and only 20 of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Well, I have to say the first episode fight scene was good. If you take it out of complete understanding of the characters, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I am excited to hear that now Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, all of them are going to be rolled into the MCU. That gives us some promise, even though they're going to blow it. But that gives us some promise.
I think they just need to keep it on Disney.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't think they need to come out with the movies. Just keep street levels on Disney Plus and your
Mhm.
main heroes on the movie screen, I think.
Mhm.
Cosmic on the
And then they could intertwine, like if we need them all to come in. But like the TV wasn't mature. Like it felt like bro, really? Like there's only 2 scenes that I felt like that needed that mature waiting. And I think that was like their thing. Oh, hey, look. Or maybe they could just be testing the waters and see how this one did with the blood and stuff like that. So when Daredevil
Mhm.
comes in, it could be how it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
makes sense.
Alfonso, you have the youngest of kids of all of us. Would you let Nate watch this?
This one, I'd let him watch it. There was really nothing. I guess the scene where where Kingpin beat the crap out of the ice cream man was pretty tough. And actually, that was a really good scene too because he's like, "Bring me another jacket. I don't want Maya to see it." And then she's like, comes over and she's like, goes over and kicks the guy a couple times, like, "Yeah, get it," you know. But I don't know. I don't think it's something that would have affected him too much. He would have understood. I'd have had a conversation with him about it, but
You think if it wasn't Disney, because like you're almost promoting a little girl condoning kicking somebody that's been they're beat up. Like I think
right.
if Disney didn't do that, you think if anybody would be counseling that scene? Because people were tripping about like, the Flash putting a fake baby in a microwave to save it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
that's
like,
In a
true.
and
microwave.
this girl, she's like 5 and she
Yeah.
sees it and says, "Oh, I'm gonna kick him too." You know what I mean? So it's
I
It
yeah.
was
was
I was good. I don't think so because
What
I
if
felt
DC did
like
that?
yeah, I just feel like it was done. It was part of the character,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so
it
they
fit the
just went with it.
character, but
Mhm.
No, I
it's
get all that. But if
surprising
DC
that
did
Disney.
that, if DC did that, there'd be people. Oh, I can't believe that. That's bad parenting. This kid, just did what Kingpin did and kicked this guy when he was dead.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end of this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast, and I have to say that this was a lot better than the 5 episodes of Echo that we all sat through for all of you. So this concludes this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. So until next time, I am NWO.
We are NWO.
Nerds redefined. Booyah!